evening, and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 364th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. Spent all weekend in 100-degree heat. Now I'm in a 100-degree studio because I live in Texas. But we're going to kick things off with an amazing show tonight. We've got an annual tradition that we're bringing back this year, and it's going to get started right with our guest of honor. But before we get to formal introductions of our guest of honor tonight, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is brought to you by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has announced a brand new era. The Undercrown El Tigre Dominicano, a distinctly Dominican Undercrown, is now available from Drew Estate. Since its birth on the factory floor, Undercrown has always represented the spirit of the underdog. Their newest extension to the Undercrown line sees this familiar underdog spirit extended past Nicaragua to the fields of the Dominican Republic to create an Undercrown unlike any before. Undercrown El Tigre Dominicana is a defining new chapter for the Undercrown Brown, one deeply rooted in the DR. For the first time, Undercrown embraces Dominican filler forward expression with an elegant, rich, and Dominican filler tobaccos in full spotlight. At the core of El Tigre is the beautiful pairing of Dominican HVA, C98 leaves, tobaccos selected specifically for their balanced structure and aromatic depth. Together, they build a layered expression, base of flavors easily enjoyed by any fan of premium cigars. Check out your Drew Diplomat retailer today for the all-new Undercrown El Tigre Dominicano from Drew Estate. And welcome, everybody. You are tuning on to us live Facebook, like we do almost every Sunday night at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. You can also check us out on our YouTube page, ELOSOFUMAR. Our video broadcast is always courtesy of our good friends at Foundation Cigar Company. Nick Melillo began his career in the cigar industry at the age of 18, working in the cigar shop, the Calabash Shop, in his home state of Connecticut. He went on to work for a well-known cigar company. We just talked about him, Drew Estate, where he developed some of the most popular blends. In 2015, he started Foundation Cigar Company to create unique and flavorful cigars that would appeal from everyone from the novice to the most experienced smoker. Check out foundationcigars.com today to learn more. And if you are tuning in to us live later, that's the thing. I just made it up. Live later. If you're listening to us later via podcast, wherever that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you download, subscribe, and review. We do appreciate all those. So again, download, subscribe, and review Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean. Always courtesy of our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Thanks to our good friends at Gran Habano. All right, folks. Well, here we are. This is our 364th take. So without further ado, let's bring in our guest of honor, which is brought to you by United Cigars. Smoke one today and start living united. Yes, it's Mr. Oliver Nivaud of United Cigar Group. Oliver, how you doing tonight?
Bear, what do you say? We are live later.
We are live later.
Here in the now. Later.
It's all, right. It's all part of the matrix. It's fine.
What's going on? Happy Sunday.
Yep.
Fired up. Freezing. We are half of what you are here in New Hampshire. It's been raining all weekend, so it's like that wet, cold. So I had to throw on a sweatshirt. I've been on, I'm just finishing up a Red Anchor because we started a Discord group that we're just kind of working through everything. And we got a good little crowd on there now. We just did about an hour and a half little video VHerf there for a while. So I was sitting out here freezing. I'm like, man, I gotta go grab a sweatshirt. It is not June weather.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
I would take somewhere in the middle, man. I would take 70 degrees right now. It was brutal this week. Yeah. But hey, man, I mean, we were talking about this before the show started. I mean, it was living the dream, coaching kids baseball all weekend long, end of the season end of the spring season tournament for my boys. And it was, God, you just love seeing the kids get better, every year and every week and stuff. And it's just, it was another fantastic season in the books, man.
Yeah. I think it's special, right? Like, my kids are older now, and my son Luke's 21, my daughter's 20, Olivia. She's in the UK going to school, and my son here is stateside, and he plays baseball in college, but he's doing a summer league. But they played multiple sports growing up, and I'll say out of all of them, and maybe because I'm just a baseball fan too, but there's just something special about watching Little League as opposed to watching like, Kiwi football or or soccer. That baseball, it's so intimate, right? Because every like we were talking about, before the show, you're so isolated either at the plate or in the field
Hmm.
that there's just something special about watching those kids develop on the field, on the baseball field.
Yeah, it was my biggest fear is when I became a dad is like I was like well, my kids are gonna fucking love like soccer or something like something I can't stand.
Right,
And everyone just assumes because they know me as a big baseball fan, right? They're like, "Oh, you did that." Man, I didn't push my kids. Like they wanted to do it. They wanted to do it,
right.
and they've kept wanting to do it. And you know, I'm no complaints here. And I love it. I love seeing them out, on that field and you know, doing their very best. They're not the best players by any stretch, but man, they work hard. They're coachable. They're good kids. They listen. They're good teammates. You can't put a price on that, man.
No,
It's fantastic.
look, if they and like anything, it's a good lesson in life. Like anything, if you're coachable and if you're able to outlast all the downfalls, you'll succeed,
Hmm.
right? Because baseball, everybody says it, and it's known, it's just a game of failure. So I think if you're strong on the baseball field, you'll succeed.
1,000%. Like I think that was like one of the most mind-blowing things for my oldest son when I was telling him about, when he's watching baseball with me he's like, "Oh, this player's good. He's like almost hitting 300." Like, "Do you know what that means?" And
Right.
he's like, "Yeah, yeah, he's an all-star. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he is. He's really, you know what that means though? Like, you understand what that number represents?" He's like, "Yeah, it's his batting average." I was like, "No, it means he fails 7 out of 10
Seven,
times."
70% of the
He's
time.
like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, he fails 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But you said that 300 is a good batting average. That's like the line of, he didn't use the word demarcation, but like that's the line of demarcation. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. And it's a
That's
different game now too. It's even worse than that. You don't have to be hitting 300. You can hit 250 and be a great player. So,
right. Yeah, well, the right, what is it? They're trying to figure it out because the pitching, right, the pitching's been a lot stronger lately too. So that the average the average in the MLB has gone down.
mhm.
So they gotta fix something. We're there to
Yeah.
see the the home runs and the hits, and pitching duel's fantastic, but we want to see some action too.
Yeah. I mean, pitching duels for nerds like us is fun, but like for everybody
Right.
else, it's not exciting. And
No.
it really just it makes it tough too. Like, I mean, this is an interesting era of baseball when some of these greats that we've seen like retire, we're gonna see some Hall of Fame players with really, really bad numbers. Like numbers we're not used to seeing. Like
Right.
they'll have the career numbers like the 500 home runs and stuff like that. But those guys aren't gonna have like the 300 batting average or anything close to it. It's gonna
No.
be interesting. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. So, but
No. And Pete Rose, I saw, is going to be on the ballot now. They've
yeah,
allowed that
I
now that
think
he's
so.
dead.
Yeah. I mean,
That's kind of brutal, but good, deserved, I think.
yeah, he literally served his time. He served life. So like
Hmm.
it's time to recognize it for sure.
Right.
One way or another. So well, it looks like you're already enjoying the remainders of a Red Anchor. I think you mentioned that before the show started, but I've got three cigars here, and you know the tradition, Oliver. I always let my guests choose the cigar. I think you'll like all of these. So I will smoke whatever you tell me to. I've got a United Robusto Natural single right here for you to choose from. And I've got the Gold Star uh Toro 6x54,
Hmm.
one of my absolute favorites. And look at this. We've got the Alfonso Production Limitada as well.
Oh,
So, what am I smoking
you,
tonight, sir?
you, I know you love, and I'm humbled, and I appreciate you saying the kind words about Gold Star always. So I appreciate that. I know you love it. I think for us, and look, the United Connecticut I think is one of our sleepers because it has Dominican broadleaf in the filler.
Mm-hmm.
It's got it's robust, it's hearty, and it's at an incredible price point. Sub 10. I think if that's Robusto, that's right under $8 retail. But I would say with your success this weekend with coaching, your son getting the hit today and
Mm-hmm.
winning the championship. Let's celebrate with an Alfonso,
Okay, let's do it. Fantastic. I was hoping you'd say anything.
especially because there's so much to talk about with selected tobacco as
Absolutely.
well tonight.
Fantastic. All
And we got
right.
some excitement. And as I rounded out that, gonna finish off that red anchor, but I'm gonna light up the gold star from
There we go.
that we put together from William Ventura and sitting down with Weber and putting this blend together.
Awesome. Well, to light up this very luxurious cigar here, I've got also another piece of luxury here. I've got my ST DuPont monogram
Mm.
lighter, the Biggie
Oh, that's beautiful.
flat flame. We'll go ahead and toast this beautiful foot here. The aroma already on the cigar before I even put some flame on this was fantastic. Um, I confess, I love the Byron and the Atabay so much. I haven't really dabbled in the Alfonso as much as the other two. Obviously, they've been around longer, but I just whenever I have a chance to smoke selected, I just tend to gravitate to those because I know them and I really enjoy them so much. And so it's not that I'm overlooking the Alfonso on purpose. It's just enjoy the others so much and stuff. So I haven't gotten as much experience with Alfonso, so I'm really excited about tonight. So awesome.
Yeah, Alfonso and really selected tobacco in general is just there's that I I think a little bit of uniqueness. I mean, look, you open up several boxes from other manufacturers over the years. I've been smoking cigars since '88, so I've had the pleasure of opening up several different boxes. But there's just something so so sweet and floral and beautiful about opening up a selected tobacco box and that Alfonso with that extra aging and everything. It's so aromatic. I love the cool draws. I love opening up the box and just taking a nice smell of all that age and all that extra cedar that's in there.
It's fantastic. Oh man. Thank you. That's wonderful. Oh, oh, I'm gonna enjoy
Yeah,
this.
you deserve it.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off with our major point tonight. We've got a few of them, but tonight's major point is brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars from the fertile lands of Honduras. George Rico and his family have put together the very best vintages for you. Yes, you, the cigar smoker. From value-based hits like Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano is about cultivating the best, making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, quality, premium handcrafted, Gran Habano Cigars. All right, Oliver. Well, we've got a lot to get to, but we started with selected tobacco, so let's get things started off there, because I think that's a great launching point for some of our things tonight that we're going to go through. But there's a lot of changes going on at selected tobacco right now. I mean, there's an expansion that we can talk about into Spain.
Yeah.
You guys are actually planning an excursion there as well too. So we'll get into that here in just a second. But I kind of want to just open up with this kind of you're talking about opened up boxes of cigars since 1988 and everything, and there's just something special about selected. How, you know, when did you think, or where do you think that point came in the evolution of the company, where it went from like a boutique luxury producer to a truly like global luxury cigar company that it's really become? Like, or do you think it's still in that process? Like, where do you think it's at?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's a great question and humbling. Just even for you to say that, and I say humbling, because United Cigars we distribute selected tobacco, the Atabey Byron, the Bandolero Premium, the Alfonso Byron 1850. Um, I I can't really pinpoint a time, but what I'll say about selected tobacco is just when you, or really any luxury product or product in general, is that when you're committed to a path, right, and you don't deviate by either diluting the brand by saying, hey, we want to be in 1,000 stores, we want it to be everywhere, we want it to really be out there. We'd love to share more of it, but it's a limited production, plus the post roll aging limits the what we can do with it. But I think really the understanding of selected tobacco, so that when when we sit down with retailers, because at first, when I started with the company in 2016, it had already been in the United portfolio for 4 to 5 years, and it had been on the market, even I don't know, uh, maybe less than 10 years at that point when I started. So it was still just an unknown, and we're going into shops and nobody had heard of the name. Really no retailer understood why it was at that price point, and then trying to really sit down and explain the story and what.
And then you smoke it, and then you get it.
And then you smoke it, and then you start to understand it. And that was really, that was the first side, because everyone has a story, and some are 100% true, and then some are 50% true. And we've seen that in the industry, and that's part of the salesmanship. And I think when they start hearing the story and we start going through it, but then you sit down and smoke the product, now you start putting it together, and you're like, oh, wait a second, okay, I can taste something different. So wait, what does he do exactly? And then there's an appreciation for that not only that price point, but the level of commitment that Nelson Alfonso has to the cigars. I mean, they're obviously the tobacco's beautiful. I mean, even the wrapper, when you look at that wrapper and how thin it is, delicate it is, and how much flavor it imparts into the cigar. I mean, that's AA grade wrapper. That is such a small percentage of a harvest, but that's what he wants to use, and really focusing on Peruvian tobacco as well, and blending it properly. Then when he takes all that tobacco and he rolls it in Costa Rica, there are steps that are typically, I don't want to say missed, right? Because we do see cigars now that are rested, and some are less than the time that they say, but 30 to 90 days, right? 120 days is typical in the market. But for Nelson to take those cigars and have them shipped to Madrid and then placed into these aging rooms with 5 different cedars, minimum of 5 different cedars, because he'll use current, what was known and what he was using before was Cuban, Spanish, Mexican, Brazilian, Lebanese cedars. He started using Peruvian cedars in there as well. So in these aging rooms, he has all these different cedars. He'll lower humidity and then raise it back up past 70, but lower it down to 40 plus gradually over the course of throughout the year. But over the course of 5 years minimum for Atabey, you really start to taste the difference and experience what that aging does, similar to scotches and whiskeys. When they're in the barrels, you can see how important the wood is to those manufacturers of the different spirits, because they'll put it onto the label itself. We don't do that with the cedar. We don't say that it's aged in different cedars, but for spirits, it's so important to talk about the French oak, American oak, charred casks, sherry cask, Caribbean, right? That's so important. So for Nelson, he started to do the same concept, because with a barrel, when the colder months come in, the wood will contract, and then it will expand in the warmer months. So with Nelson, with the humidity, by lowering humidity and then raising it back up, the cigar is actually breathing in all the different cedars, and it's cleansing itself and purging. When it goes down in humidity, it's purging all that humidity inside the tobacco without drying it out completely and losing any of the oils, but it cleanses itself. So it makes it so unique, so clean on the palate. And I think that was that changing point for a lot of consumers and retailers when they tried it and they could see the difference in the quality.
It's it is unbelievably different and unique, and it's really hard to convey. And if you haven't had it, which is getting rarer and rarer these days, is the more popular it's becoming. I mean, this is a completely different story than when you and I first met. And I love rehashing the story. Like I had never smoked an Atabey. I heard of it, but I had never smoked an Atabey until you and I actually did. I was part of a podcast that you were a guest on with Coop and Aaron Loomis, and I remember smoking it. I was just like, oh wow, and like I was like, what's the price point on this again, Oliver? And you said it, and I didn't bat an eye at it. Like I wasn't like, oh, like that. Oh, it wasn't even like that. It
Right.
was just like,
Right.
oh yeah, okay. Like you get it. Like it absolutely it fit for what, you know, for the experience that I was
What
having. I
you
was
experience.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and but I wanted to go to something else. You mentioned like how United is just, and I'm using little quote fingers for people who are listening later. Um just a
Listening to
distribute
it later
ju
live.
li
Right.
listening to it later live. Just a
Here are the quotes.
distributor. Just a distributor. Like there's been a lot of companies in the cigar industry that have relationships that are very, very, very similar, where it's kind of like they're synonymous with that group. You know, for years it was Drew Estate and Hoya, and you know other situations of that ilk and everything like that. How um how is that challenging in some regard? Like I'm sure there's I mean I know you have a lot of fun with it, but how is that challenging you know, when you're having conversations with people that you're trying to partner with, or you're trying to bring United in, or the opposite, right? I'm sure that I mean, there's different retailers all over this country that have different needs and requirements and stuff, and I'm sure Selected's not always a fit, and United's not always a fit. You
Right.
know, so what are some of the challenges you run into with quote unquote just being the distributor?
Right. So and when I do say we're I shouldn't say just a distributor. You know, because with Nelson, there are a lot of, you know, the projects and the things that come out that we have, um, you know, a large say in. Like we'll discuss things and then that changes his direction, but he's the artist and he is the blender. We have, you know, nothing to do with that, but it's more of a partnership than being just a distributor, right?
Mhm.
So I should say that, but
It feels like that.
uh,
It feels like that. Like
yeah,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
because even for his grand opening, which you know, we'll touch deeper on, but that's in October. But that's an invitation that we've sent out, and that's a grand opening for Selected Tobacco. Obviously, it's a facility, but with United Cigars, like we're part of the invitation. Um, you know, he was nice enough. You know, I was able to, you know, sign all the invitations. He signed all the invitations that we handed out. So it shows that it is more of a partnership than just oh, this is my U.S. distributor, because there are other distributors in the world for him. But the U.S. is the, you know, the big market for him, and that's where the majority of the product comes. But yeah, so it is more of a partnership. We've become great friends, and we've worked closely on a lot of things together. But I guess that, you know, to answer the question of, you know, yeah, there are retailers, and I think, you know, a lot of retailers work this way with multiple manufacturers, that it's what they hear from the customer base or what they've seen, read, or heard, that that's what they want, but they don't always know the complete portfolio. So when we look at it with our portfolio that has product that's more approachable, like I mentioned, the United Cigars sub 10, Gold Star is right around 12 to 14. Red Anchor is more of on our end, our more luxury line in the products that we manufacture, right around the, you know, $20 range. So, you know, there are products that, you know, people have heard of, but it's not you know, the pull product for them. You know, it's going to be something that might have to be handheld to the customers that come in. So we look to just, you know, really build partnerships with our retailers, and you know, we try to um, you know, explain that with certain items that come in through Selected Tobacco, they're so limited that we have to play fair across the board, and we just kind of go down what I'll say is our list of retailers and retail partners, and who's who's partnering with us on all sides, product that we manufacture, product that we distribute distribute. So we, kind of play it as, I say, okay, well, if you have a significant other, right? And Thursday, the week's rolling around. You've worked all week. Thursday night, you want to go out for drinks with the boys to watch, Thursday night football. Friday, you want to cut out early and go whatever, go hang out with the boys again. And Saturday's golf, with your buddies. At some point, you have to take the wife out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the significant other out, the one that is your core. And I say United Cigars are Gold Star, United, Firecracker, Red Anchor. That's your significant other. That's my wife. That's the one I have to take care of that will be with us forever. The fun part is all these limited releases that are coming out from Selected Tobacco, and the ones that Atabey and Byron that are more well known in a price category that is is not as is not as deep, right? It doesn't have the depth chart that the $10 or $12 cigar has, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of cigars on the market right in that, not even lower end, the average, right? $10 to $15 is now the average. There are more cigars in that category than in the higher end category that can justify that price point as well. So that's why I say that's kind of the fun area. And so we've built really good partnerships where people and some retailers will, when they bring in a product maybe they haven't heard of, like a Red Anchor, then all of a sudden it comes in and they're surprised by it. And I don't take offense to it, but I'll call them up, or maybe they haven't brought it in yet, but when we sample it and they're like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And I'm like, well, should I be offended by that or should I be proud of that? Right? Like, well, yeah, it's pretty good. We're not just putting out, dog rockets and wrapping, twigs together to make it a good cigar. We try to put out a good product, and we
Didn't you
partner
try
and
that
align
once,
ourselves.
wrapping twigs together?
Yeah, actually stems. Yeah, we did. That's a good point. Uh, yeah, so we look, we've aligned ourselves with Kellner Boutique Factory. Hendrik Kellner's phenomenal. He has beautiful
Mm-hmm.
tobacco. So that's our Red Anchor. William Ventura is kind of like the sleeping giant, I believe, in the industry, who is fun, outgoing in the in the family, that he's just kind of in the back. He's more about the tobacco. He's more about the blends. He's more about his factory than he is showcasing himself on
Mm-hmm.
social media and putting himself out there. And then United, for United and Firecracker, Magia Cubana, there are and I don't know who really puts it out there and highlights the factory, but they produce a lot of cigars out of that factory that people smoke that may not know comes out of that factory. So they have some beautiful tobacco. Like I said, the Dominican broadleaf that's in the United, I think is fantastic, and there you'll see more Dominican broadleaf soon on the market,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, because it's a fantastic tobacco, and I think it can be used in some great ways. So we'll start seeing it more. But yeah, it's a hard line because you have product in our portfolio that's like I said, sub 10, and then you have $20-$30 cigars, and to compare the two, it's you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but
Yeah,
they all serve a purpose.
Red Anchor was a really great addition for you because I felt it really did round out the if you want to look at it as the sum of its parts, right? It really rounded out the portfolio. I mean, we always already said that United slash Selected was like one of the more varied portfolios in the market, but there was this definitive missing gap. It wasn't like,
Mhm.
it wasn't huge, it wasn't glaring, it wasn't like a flaw or anything. I'm not trying to make it sound like this huge deal,
No.
but there was this missing gap, and Red Anchor definitely fills that. I mean, it's really the bridge, if you will, from the what we've known or what we've come to understand as the United portfolio to the uber luxury, if you want to label it with something of selected tobacco.
Right.
And and I think it's the perfect bridge, and from everything, from the quality of the cigar, the way it smokes, and I mean, I certainly enjoy it, but even the story behind it, like you said, Um, Kellner is, I mean, chip off the old block and has an amazing factory and he has amazing tobacco and he really knows how to put together some really fantastic cigars and what a way to revive that brand. A 250
Yeah,
year old
yeah.
brand and put it in the hands of truly a man who knows what he's doing with it and it's good. I mean, you're really working with some really incredible craftsmen, Oliver. I think it's really, I don't think we talk enough about it. Like you said, William Ventura, I think Sleeping Giant's a really great descriptor because I've had the privilege of interviewing him a couple of times, and he always said, I don't want to talk about anything because can we just talk tobacco? We could absolutely talk
Right.
tobacco, William. It's totally fine. Totally fine. That's cool. We can do it. And, you know, with Henrik, I've had the opportunity to interview him too, and he was very much of that same ilk. And then I've also had the great fortune of interviewing Nelson too, and he's a completely different breed because it's you see
Oh,
the
oh
the
yeah.
the master blender in him, but you also see the artist as you come to see it too. And it's man that he's such an interesting man of vision. And if I may, I think that's why the two of you get along really well. It feels like you guys have a really great working relationship, and I think it's because from what I've always known and loved about you, Oliver, is you always seem like a man of vision. You always seem like you're looking ahead beyond outside the box, inside the box, wherever it happens to be. And I think that's probably why you work so hard. But would you agree with that or?
Yeah. Well, it's humbling. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to agree with that because it was such kind words. But yeah, I mean, look, Nelson, as you said, you had the chance to interview him, and yeah, the more time that you can spend with him, you'll start to see how incredibly humble he is and knowledgeable he is. Um, that it makes every conversation special because he is open to it. There isn't an ego or a chip on his shoulder that he won't take he won't take a conversation the wrong way. Not that we have a lot of correcting to do with him anyway, but yeah, he's an incredible person, and yeah, I think look, we've been we as a company, it's very interesting because we have these products and we try different things, and I think part of it is we're just not afraid to try something different. We've had our hands slapped a couple times maybe, and we've tried some different things, but we're also I would say very respectful. We try to be within the industry where that's almost creative, and I can present a lot to David Garofalo, and he's open to them. So we're able to do some different things that maybe outside of the box, so to
Yeah,
speak.
and Dave's like that too. Like it's such a unique energy, which is interesting. And the approach is obviously different because like you are a very different person than Dave. Dave's a very
Yeah,
different
yeah,
person than Nelson, but yet there's this kind of meeting of the minds around being visionary is kind of my takeaway from having gotten to know certainly you and Dave a lot better than Nelson, but that's kind of been my outside perspective from Nelson for sure. So
yeah.
to shift gears here a little bit, just to where we've already kind of touched around and tapped around for a little bit, we've got this amazing grand opening that you guys are hosting in October for the new facilities in Spain. What was what was the motivator behind opening this facility and like what's gonna be allowed to be different than things were being done before?
So to answer it, Nelson, obviously Alfonso would be the best person to answer that directly, but from our conversations and why he wanted it. Um, One, his family, he lives in Madrid, Spain now, and has for over 20 years. And that was really where for him, and in reality, that's where Cuban cigars started. He's of Cuban descent. The Spanish crown would take the tobacco and then roll the cigars in Spain. Um, and I think he wanted to kind of bring that back, and recreate something that he could have his hands on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right now, when he rolls the cigars in Costa Rica, it's not an ongoing production. He takes the tobacco to Madrid, and that's where it goes through the extra fermentation, the extra aging. He uses wine barrels for the filler and the wrapper. He'll age the tobacco there, and then that goes to Costa Rica, and then that's when the productions roll. So he knows how much tobacco is going down. He knows what that will yield in cigars, and then those come back to Madrid for the aging. Now, with that, there are times where product can get damaged, or if a production isn't rolled properly, he may not have his eyes on it right away until it gets back to him, and it starts the aging process. But at certain points, his quality control is through the roof. Knock on wood, but for the most part, selected tobacco products are at a level of construction and quality. I don't want to say he's unparalleled, because there are great products out there, but he has some incredible lines that just, I mean, burn, draw, smoke production, everything is absolutely perfect. But with the Madrid facility, I think he just wanted a little more control on the productions. He wants to have all his aging in one central location. So it will be the largest feeder line humidor in the world, because he'll have 24 different aging rooms, but those aging rooms are also enclosed. It's 2 stories. Those are also enclosed in one large cedar lined room. So even when you leave those doors, the interior, the center, is still lined with cedar. At this facility, this is where he's had his design company since the 90s, and that's where he does a lot of his international work that he's recognized for. So his design company will be there. His offices will be there. The aging, the fermentation will be done there. He'll have the rollers, the aging rooms, but he'll also start growing tobacco and germinating. The whole germination process will be done there as well. So he'll be able to use, inside the facility. He'll have this whole greenhouse that he'll be able to grow tobacco, and we'll really it'll be growing the tobacco plants, but then taking those seeds to bring them and start growing tobacco in Spain. So it's a whole just it's not for show, meaning like it's not, you're not going to walk in and just be wowed, because it's not some large entrance. It's a larger facility, but it's really meant to do everything under a microscope to make sure that everything is done properly. So when you start going through all the different floors and you start going through the different rooms, you'll start to see and appreciate the level of attention that he has for his products.
I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but I'm really fascinated to start smoking the stuff that will eventually be coming out of it. Just to kind of see some of those differences, nuances, because I remember having this conversation with another manufacturer, and it was interesting to me because, like, for forever I had smoked their cigars out of one humidor, my local humidor, and I knew what it tasted like, and I remember it was during COVID, right? So we had the local shop that I was going to ran out, and I really wanted some, so I ordered some from Jeff at Corona, right? And no, I actually, no, funnily enough, I actually ordered some from Dave up at Two Guys. It ships to me, right? Okay, same cigar, okay, same cigar, same size, that I'd grown accustomed to, and not bad, not good, just different. The cigar tasted
Right.
different, and it like it was like it was this kind of weird experience for me because I was just like, I know what the cigar tastes like, and this is tasting different. Again, not bad, not good, it's just different. And and so I had a conversation with the manufacturer, like, have you? I mean, is this a thing? Like, it was like I was like having my mind blown in real time because I was like, is this a thing? He's like, well, yeah, you have to understand, like, people's humidors are different, and you also take into account the shipping, and he's like, you've smoked off the truck before. That's a mistake
Right,
sometimes. It depends.
right, right.
And he's like, I was like, well, these are shipped with humidification. He's like, well, yeah, of course they were. And he's like, but yeah, but humidors are different, and it's just and they affect the tobacco. Tobacco's a living. We were talking about with Nelson cigars, it's a
Exactly.
living,
Yeah,
breathing thing,
yeah.
and it was just kind of like it had just like my mind blown in real time. So sorry, get back on the tracks here. The grand opening you guys are doing in October. To use the word du jour, what was the vision behind it, and what are you guys looking to do, and who all's invited, and what's the shindig going to be about besides the grand
Yeah.
opening?
So well, yeah. First, it's a grand opening, right? To introduce everybody that to the new facility, but it's really pulling back the curtains to have a better understanding because you can share a story so much. Like we can talk baseball, right? And you can talk about your son getting the hit, and I talked to you earlier about what my son did today, but it has a different impact when you're there and you see it,
Sure.
right? So we're inviting some of our retailers out there. We have some media friends that are coming out there, and it's just a way to celebrate the Alfonso family for the work that him and his family have done to put this facility together, and two, like I said, really pull back the curtain on what is being done because to say a cigar is aged, right? That's one thing, and we hear it, and it's talked about, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's aged, yeah, I can taste it, it's good. And then, well, it's aged with five different cedars. It's like, oh wow, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, yeah. And humidity's lowered and then raised back up over each during the year, but over the course of 5 years minimum for Atabey. Wow, that's interesting. I can't believe that. And then to talk about this whole process, and then you smoke it and you can appreciate it. But I think when people see it and they're able to then share that, and then that will translate even further to the consumers when they get back to their shops, or media comes back home, and they can explain it because they've seen it and they've touched it and they felt it. And then to your point with smell, and the cigar is different, you'll be able to smell how amazing this tobacco smells when in these aging rooms, but you'll be able to smell the different aging rooms for the cigars as well, because he's not aging a cigar when it arrives from Costa Rica in one room and then mixing it with a cigar that's been aging for 3 years. That cigar that's been in the room for 3 years, those are the only cigars in that room. It's not going to mix with a younger cigar,
Hmm.
right? So to be able to see this process, and then just have a deeper appreciation for the time. There's already a lot of time, as we know, and a lot of hands that touch tobacco and cigars, but now you'll see the extra steps that go into the cigar after it's rolled. It's madness. It's absolute madness to think about it and talk about it. That we've had people in Nelson. We sit down and we laugh. He goes, "No, no, I know it's crazy. It's crazy," but he does it because he has such a belief and such a passion for his family's lines, that's what he wants to do. So yeah, we're excited just to share it. And what we're planning on doing is a lot of people that have RSVP'd already, they're turning it into a little mini vacation to visit Madrid, but we'll have a tour of the facility one day where you'll see all the different stages of the process for Nelson. And then the next day, we're going to have a large gala dinner where there will be a show. We'll be sharing cigars. We'll be entertaining probably, I don't know, I think it's about 120, 150 people.
Oh wow.
And so we'll have a large inside the facility, because inside of his warehouse area where he stores all of the packaging materials, and this is another thing. He even uses the same grade or the same paint that's used in hospitals, because you can see all of the dust on the floors of this warehouse, and he has like this Zamboni cleaner that goes up and down and cleans it because he wants it to, it has to be clean. So, but inside that facility, he can fit. I think it's up to about 300 people. So if we, we get to that point where we're doing these large events, then we'll, that's what he can do. But for right now, we wanted it to be intimate and share it with those that can join us.
Were you able to see several steps of the project as it was being built and everything like that, or did you see it only in its final product, like its final stage, I guess?
No, so I haven't even seen really the final product because even I was there in January, and even then it wasn't complete. The cigars hadn't been introduced to those humidors just yet. He has them in about, I think he said about 5 different locations. I saw about 3 different spots because it just wasn't big enough for what he had rented. But so he'll have everything there. He'll have the rollers there for the October event. But I went there in September 24, where it was still kind of a shell. There was like, even in the aging rooms, there were some rooms that were semi-complete, but most of the cedar was still on the ground in planks and just ready to be put up. And what's interesting is that also that these cedar planks, they're about an inch thick because he shaves down the humidors to give it a fresh layer, but they're also about an inch off of the walls so that the humidity travels and captures all sides of the cedar. Right. So it's interesting when you
Oh,
when you
wow.
walk into the door, you'll see that the cedar is just pushed away from the walls, right? So that it captures everything, and then he'll circulate the air out, and then and then close it off so that it can all the humidity can circulate through. But yeah, so I saw it at two different stages in the process. But when he bought this building, it didn't the so I'd explain it. It has 5 stories. When he bought it, I think it had 3 stories. He added 2 more stories on the front, and then there's a back section, but in between there's this that's the open warehouse area.
Mhm.
It didn't have a roof, right? It was just open. And then the back area has uh three floors. But so that center section, he added two more stories. So it's just this massive center warehouse area where you can drive. The tobacco will be brought in, so he has a freezer in that front area, and then he has a sorting area, and then he also has a section where he can pull in. I think three of his vehicles. So when they come to work, they can park right inside the facility. So I've seen it where it was, I'd say, 90%, or say 85%, whatever percentage you want to put on it, but near complete, where you could walk through, all the lights were there, everything was working. When I was there, that first time, it might have been that first time in 24. I remember I was working in the office, and he was doing some work on the side, and it was, I don't know, probably 8:30 in the morning because he starts very early. But I got there at about 7:30, and right about an hour or so later, I hear him screaming my name, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oliver, come here, come here." So I go over. He's like, "I want you to come in the elevator." He's like, "This is the first time the elevator's going to be working." So he's got an elevator from the first floor to the fifth floor, and on the fifth floor, that's where he has the cigar lounge. But he's like, I want you to be in here to ride up in the elevator. So that was pretty cool. So I've seen a lot of it kind of come together, which is great.
Awesome. Um, Fantastic. Well, we are going to break things up. We are, of course, as you know, we do have the presidential United Cigar presidential trivia segment.
One of the best segments in media.
We're gonna do two. We're gonna do two tonight. We're gonna break things up. We're gonna 2 times, just because we're talking a lot about parties. We're talking about this event, and we're gonna talk about the event, another personal event for me on July 4th. That'll be
Yes,
the culmination and end of another event that we do together and have done for the past few years. So we're going to talk about parties. The presidents actually like to party, so let's get on with it here. So, are you ready to live the United lifestyle? Launch your palate voyage with United Cigars. You can celebrate over 250 years of excellence with the Red Anchor or experience elegance with the La Giovanna Habana. Rekindle the spirit of 1776 and light up the skies with a firecracker, or celebrate honor, pride, and accomplishment with a gold star. Jet set the globe and capture luxury with Atabey, Byron, Alfonso, Bandolero, and now the Nelson line from Selected Tobacco. Don't just smoke, smoke United. United Cigars since 1901. United we smoke. All right, so um, I all these times that we've done presidential trivia segments, I don't think I've ever talked about parties, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity to talk about it and stuff. So, there's been some really interesting celebrations over the years with everything. But I wanted to ask the question. So, this is a multiple choice question. Which inauguration featured the most food by weight? And I'll give you the weight. It was 5,000 pounds of food. Okay. Um,
Okay.
was it George W. Bush, Barack Obama, James Buchanan, or Ulysses S. Grant? So that's A, Barack Obama, B, George W. Bush, excuse me, C, James Buchanan, or D, or C, yeah, D, excuse me, Ulysses S. Grant.
Most food by weight.
Most
Um,
food by weight. Right.
I'm going to. So I'm just thinking of weight. I'm thinking of cattle. I'm thinking of beef. I'm thinking it was less expensive back then because meals now it's more, smaller plates. I'm thinking they brought in like a just a you know pigs and cows slaughtered, roasted. I'm gonna have to say Grant if that's D.
Believe it or not, it was actually Barack Obama.
What?
Yeah. And
5,000 pounds?
5,000 pounds of food. Now here's I mean it was a great stuff, but like you would think okay, so like 2012, 2008, 2020, 2012, like that this is where we could have some pretty luxurious food, but they actually made a point not to have, to your point, like sides of beef and stuff like that. They didn't necessarily have that, but like they didn't want like over luxurious food, but they had, and here's and this is the kicker part. Like they're because this is the second question, and I'll just give you a heads up on what it who on what the question is. It was still not the most expensive. So it was the most food by weight, but it was not the most expensive inauguration party ever. But first course was seafood stew containing scallops, shrimp, lobster, black cod in a rich cream
Oh,
sauce,
black cod.
served in a pastry covered tureen. Second course was a brace for American birds. That's what they called it. Herb rusted pheasant, wild rice stuffing, duck breast topped with sour cherry chutney, and penne pasta served with, and then a was also served with some kind of molasses whipped sweet potato, which sounds delicious.
Wow. Yeah.
Winter vegetables. Um, and then dessert, it was like first, second course, and then dessert. It wasn't really that much, but you got to think about the sheer amount of people because
Yeah.
there were actually 10 parties. Like if you wanted like 10 distinct events, and I think that's where you get the tonnage, right? Because dessert was
Okay.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
apple sponge cake. Sponge cake
Right. That's
that
not gonna right.
contributed
That's
to
not
the
gonna be the weight.
5,000
Right.
pounds. Yeah, exactly. So
Wow.
like there's just a sheer massive amount of
Yeah,
food.
I didn't think about the number of invitees, which
Hmm.
could make sense. Yeah.
So, and believe it or not, it wasn't the most expensive inauguration, which is the second question.
Gee.
So,
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. All right.
who was president and had the most expensive inauguration? Was it was it A, George W. Bush, B, his father, George Herbert Walker Bush, C, Donald Trump, or D, Joseph Biden?
Uh, yeah. Geez, the quick answer once you said Trump, I was like, oh, it's probably Trump because he's gonna have something like that, but maybe he's more. Um, Maybe thinking more of the budget. You know what? I would go with. I'll go with A.
George W. Bush.
George. Yeah.
George W. The boy, the son. Okay,
Yeah, the son. Yeah.
absolutely, that is correct.
Because he was he was
42
just kind of
million.
like he was like, fuck it. Yeah, yeah, bring that in. Yeah, I can see that.
For,
All right.
40, 42
42
million.
million?
$42 million for his second inauguration. It was a big deal. I
Wow.
don't know if I don't know if the reason you guessed was like you remember. It was they of course, media, they love to sensationalize things. Yeah, like it was the second inauguration. They're like 42 million on, it's not even his first
Yeah.
inauguration and stuff like that. I'm
I
like,
lose you. Yeah.
yeah, it's his second inauguration. He won twice. Like,
Yeah.
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 Like I
Yeah.
remember
He won.
thinking as
Yeah,
a
he won
kid,
twice.
I was a kid at the
His dad,
time.
his dad didn't win twice. He won twice.
Yeah, I was a kid at the time, and I was thinking, I
Right.
was like, yeah, he won twice. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we questioning this? You
Wow.
know, uh,
42 million.
42
Good for
million.
him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I think it's still interesting. Like, even though it's much, you know, since that time we've had, the 2008 crash, and then of course the economy today and stuff like that, and then inflation in between and all this other stuff, right? Not to get too much into politics, but you think, man, all this time has passed, and yet he still holds the record. Like, man, because think
Right.
about how
Right.
prices have really, really skyrocketed and stuff, and and yeah, and to your point, like, Trump is known for these lavish things, right?
Right.
But
But I think it's we've become so polarized too that if you start creeping up, like I don't think we could spend 42 million again on any type of dinner like that,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because that's coming out of that's taxpayer dollars.
yeah, and I mean, my biggest complaint about the 42 million is just like, how could you let Obama beat you on the tonnage of food, man? I mean, Jesus.
Right, right.
I mean, gosh,
Tonnage, 5,000 tons. Wow,
5,000 pounds. Yeah,
yeah, it's big.
God bless.
Oh,
Holy cow.
5,000 pounds. Yeah, yeah, not
5,000
tons.
pounds.
Yeah.
Um, um, awesome. Well, we'll have some more presidential trivia segment here in just a little bit. And as we continue to celebrate United Cigars. So don't just smoke, so smoke United Cigars since 1901. United, we smoke. Um, well, this brings about what has become an annual tradition here, and we'll retell the story for the fourth or fifth time now, of how it kind of came to be. But this is, we're going to be doing on Flag Day, June 14th. We are going to be launching our 20 Days of United Cigars campaign. For is this our fourth year, or is this our fifth year?
Yep.
This is fourth year.
I think it's the fourth year. Yeah.
Yeah. And it all started with this basic arithmetic that I came down with, and I was like, um, and I talked to you about it, and we kind of hatched this plan together, and it was basically it's the perfect story, because between Flag Day, which is June 14th, and July 4th, which is our nation's Independence Day, um, there's 20 days in between.
20 days.
And there just happens to be like, and this was an absolute coincidence, but there just happens to be, because I even remember asking you, I remember, hey, how many cigars are in the box of United Cigars again? And you're like,
Right, right.
20. So it was like, okay, crazy idea. Here we go. So there just happens to be 20 cigars in a box of United Cigars. So that's how it started. It's like one United Cigar a day. You get a box of United Cigars to celebrate every day between Flag Day, which celebrates um, the U.S. Army's birthday, as well as a celebration of our flag. Our flag, it's the day to celebrate the U.S. flag, and then of course, all the way celebrating to our nation's independence on July 4th.
Hmm.
And um, and it's been a lot of fun. But even in between that, what I think is really cool, and again, it's not like this had anything to do with the great project that you put together with Gold Star, but now you guys are doing some amazing stuff with the flag too. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah,
let's
I was going to say it made it made sense with when you're talking about 20 days. Obviously the United um image, and it's been around since 1901, and we've kind of revamped it, but it always had the colors of the flag, and the fact that we give back to Stars for Our Troops, And veterans will cut out the stars of flags that are no longer able to fly, and we donate back to them, and they send us these stars, and we put one star from a U.S. flag that's been flown in whatever state. That's the beauty of it too. It's all across America. People send flags to this organization. Vets will cut out the stars from the flags, and then we send those stars to the Dominicans so that it goes inside of every single one of our United boxes. So we share a little bit of America, and we support the vets, and we give back a little bit just to bring awareness and a thank you to our first responders and to our veterans. So it just tied in, yeah, tied in perfectly. It was a great call, and it's a fun thing every year to look forward to.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and that first year that I did it was a real treat because I got to literally flex a little Americana across the pond, as they say.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
happened to be in Great
yeah. That's
Britain, and I was
right.
smoking cigars in Great Britain, smoking United Cigars in Great Britain. It was fantastic, and it was just a great little exercise and everything. But
Yeah,
it's been fun. My dad, you know, God rest him and everything. He's such an American patriot and
hmm
instilled that patriotism in me, and I remember doing this the year after his passing, and it was actually I was actually doing this in his last days. We were in the middle of our campaign a couple
yeah.
years
I
ago,
remember him.
and and I, of course, he was on a ventilator, and we really couldn't have a back and forth exchange, but I was telling him about it, and my mom was like watching me like take the photos and stuff I was doing at the house, and she's like, so explain to me this, and like, because my mom doesn't understand anything about this world, and I was like, yeah, and I told her the whole backstory. She's like, well, she's like, that's something your dad would have figured out and would have, the whole number of cigars
Right,
in the box and stuff, and she got sort of emotional about it. She's like, "Man, I think he might have actually joined you for a cigar with one of these days." And I was like, at the time we didn't know if we still a chance that he could have made it and stuff. And we're like, "Oh, well, maybe he will next year." But I definitely thought about it the following year, and probably will as we continue to do this project. It's a lot of fun and everything, but
yeah.
um, we wanted to do
But that
something
kind of
different
helps,
this.
that helps his name carry on too. Like,
Yeah,
through you, that's something you guys shared.
yeah,
I think that's beautiful.
yeah. It's wonderful. You know. I kind of wanted to ask you, I don't, I've brought up my personal stories and my patriotism before and stuff, but I don't think we've ever really kind of dove into yours. I know you're a proud patriot, and I've also know your background. We've explored in other interviews and conversations too. Like, you've lived abroad, and you're a worldly person, as I would describe you and everything. But what does it feel like to be an American to you, in your own words?
Um, you know, it, um, I don't know. It's not necessarily a sense of belonging, but it's just this. Maybe because I've seen, my family's originally from France, and my family, a lot of my family's still overseas. So to see, the European lifestyle, and just this patriotism, and my mother's side of the family, has roots to the French Revolution. So it's this honor and this just this passion of country, and what's right, and what's best for everyone. And for the flag, I never served. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but my family didn't serve because they, my mother and father are both French. But I just have this appreciation for someone that is um, ready to potentially sacrifice all of their freedom, but at the very least sacrifice their time away from family, away from loved ones, to do something that is protecting all of us, to allow us to do a lot of the foolishness that we do, even just as simple as sitting in a lounge smoking a cigar and having a conversation.
Hmm.
We have that ability, and we have the ability to walk around and to a certain degree say what we want with our right of free speech. And yeah, so for me, it's just this um, sense of belonging to something that I believe is yeah, it's just so great, so powerful, and protective, right? Like I even more for my son than my daughter, but bringing him up, it was about protecting and helping and being more of an asset than a debt to society. And I don't know, that's just kind of all part of the American flag. And or even early on as he was growing up, I made sure that he helped me we put up a new flag every year. So he always helped me do that. So yeah, it's just always been a part of me that I'm happy that we were able to fold that into the United side.
That's wonderful. Um, the Stars for Our Troops campaign is a really remarkable story, and and what y'all do with the stars from the recycled flags, the retired flags, excuse me, not recycled, retired flags is I think is a really special tribute. The fact that the star is actually in the box of cigars and stuff like that. And it's a very, very humbling reminder of, the to everything that you just described a few moments ago about these are men and women who, while we're in a lounge smoking a cigar with their kids at a baseball game,
Right.
these normal everyday things, these normal everyday American things that we've come to enjoy, as citizens of this country and everything like that, they're off. They're the ones who've given up that time, those moments
Right.
to in service of their country and in service of us as individuals. And
Yeah.
that star is a very subtle, um, subtle but very precise reminder. And that's the way I see it. And I I hope people pick on it up as well as I feel like I have, and I hope it means a lot as impacted as many people as it has and does to me. Excuse me, trying to speak English here. Um, but,
Yeah,
but
yeah. When we look at when I look at the stars too, it's the same thing. Like if it can impact one person, right? Kind of
hmm
like that. It's not the same, but like the pay it forward,
hmm
type of mentality. But if that star, as it impacted me, because I have a friend who gave me the star years prior that I
hmm
always held and I kept, and
Sure.
then moving into United deeper. I just thought it matched, and if we could give back, and then also maybe it impacts another person, and they're able to put a flag up. What I love about Texas, you want to know what America is, you go to Texas. Like Texas is so proud of their flag, and
Our one
and the
star.
US flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they fly it high and they fly it proud, and so yeah, if that one star can make an impact on someone's life, just to say, not a hollowed thank you, but sometimes it almost feels like I even feel it sometimes when I'm talking to someone, they're like, oh yeah, I serve. Sometimes it's hard for me to say, oh, thank you for your service, because it feels like it's so impulsive, like it's so reactive, and it's not genuine. But like I'm being trying to be serious and genuine, but when I say it, but sometimes it's just hard for it to come out in that way. But so if we can do it in a subtle way without trying to get a ton of media on it, press release, and
Mhm.
oh, look what we're doing. It's more of just sharing that little piece so that someone else can go out and share it with someone else.
I mean, and just to speak personally for a moment, Oliver. Again, I never served either. My father did. But I'll use his words to give you some ease, uh, with your a little bit of the anxiety that you feel around that sincerity. Um, um, he said it didn't matter how many times he heard it. It always meant
Yeah.
something different. It always meant something. And it coming from him, he served in Vietnam, where a different time in a different world,
Right.
where you know service wasn't appreciated like it is today. And so him hearing those words meant something a lot different. So he said it didn't. he said I remember I was like, do you ever get tired of it? Because it felt like in more and more as in recent years he heard it a lot more, and I was with him a good number of times when he heard it from folks, and he always said no. He's like
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Then no, he's like
yeah,
I'll never get tired of it. And he's like and he said it's always something special. He's like it's always
yeah. That's
special.
beautiful.
So just to give you a little peace of mind there. Um, I love this campaign. And this year we're launching something new. We've always had the hashtag 20 Days of United Cigars. So we were really going to encourage. We post every day. You and I and the fans of the like have always posted and everything, and so we're going to continue that tradition. But we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we'll have some details later on. I'll post them in the show notes and everything as well too. But we're going to be doing a giveaway this year, and we're going to be doing it around the flag. We're going to be doing it with a unique hashtag this year, and I want to make sure I got it right here from my notes here. But we are going to do the where I lost it. United Flag Day. They're simpler enough. Hashtag
Yeah,
United Flag Day. Um, and so we're going to be promoting this across the Cigar Coop Coalition. So you'll be able to see some details on cigarcoop.com, cigar-coop.com, excuse me. Also, we're getting Let's Get in Pairing involved in one of this as well too. And then of course here on Ellis Fumar Takes and you just stay tuned to all of our social medias and everything. We'll be smoking United Cigars, Gold Stars, firecrackers of the like for the 20 days in between. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but we are gonna kick things off with a giveaway with hashtag United Flag Day. Um,
United Flag.
and we'll be doing a giveaway, and so really excited about that. Not to put you two on the spot, Oliver, have you put together the details of it, or we gonna wait to announce that later? It's totally fine.
Yeah, I think we'll not necessarily wait to announce it, but we'll put something together this week because it's a little evolving, right? Because
Hmm.
I think in the past we had just done it as a celebration and an awareness and an appreciation for everything, and we focused on United, and so we might change it up because if we're including um, everybody and we're doing this giveaway, I wanted to make it a little easier in a way for some because maybe they have Gold Star in their area or they have Red Anchor in their area or Firecracker, but just within the United portfolio, then I know we'll do a flag because I think it's important for for somebody if they have a flag then and they say they win this giveaway. If they win a flag, well, eventually they'll have to replace their flag, and that'll be a good replacement. But for some, they just haven't taken that step to put a flag on their house, so or they're wherever they're living. So the flag will be a part of it. They will win a flag, and then we'll figure out the other portion of it.
Beautiful. I love this. I'm so excited. Um, I remember when I got my first home years ago. The first purchase I made was a lock because, believe it or not, the lock on my front door didn't work. The second
Ah,
purchase I made, and it would have been my first had the lock worked, was a brand new American flag with the pole with the
mm,
mount. Even had the perfect spot with it. I have some pictures if you can go back on my social media outside my first home with that and everything. So, cool little capture of history and everything. Man, I was so so proud, and it seems so. Again, it's these plain, ordinary things. It's these everyday American things, right, Oliver? And it just seemed so. I would imagine to a lot of people, it probably seems so silly, but for me, God, oh, it was one of the most important moments of my life. And it kind of sounds kind of probably silly to a lot of folks, but it was, man, it was one of the most important moments of my life, and I loved it. So I love that we're gonna be doing this. This is great.
yeah, no, but I love that. I think sometimes it's corny in a way, and for those that maybe can't fully grasp it, but just think about you know volunteering for something, that's for your country, right? But volunteering for something, and then basically when you sign up and they tell you, okay, well, yeah, these luxuries are going to be taken away from you, right? Um, and you're going to have to do it for X amount of time, and you know, you're not going to have the same same pay. You're not going to be able to do certain things, but we want you on board. Do you want to do it? And people sign up for this. Like today, I drove down and I saw my younger brother who lives in Connecticut now, but he was a half hour away because his son was playing soccer in Tingsboro. So I was able to see him for a half an hour. But that's a loved one I get to see. Now, when you join the armed forces, whatever branch, you're not going to be able to do that. You might get a phone call, the ability to make a phone call, but you're going to miss those birthdays and the celebrations and hey, let's run down to Dave's Hot Chicken and get something. No, there's no running down and getting out, right? So it's just again, it sounds corny, but I don't know. It's just it is an appreciation that I wish we could do more, but every little piece counts. And I think when people look at like the bigger pictures, there are so many charities and so many things that you can do, and you have to select one. But again, it's just being try to be an asset instead of a debt to society. So do your part. That's it.
That's beautiful. I'm so excited about this, and this is going to be a really special year as well too. It's not a milestone, as you know, and as my audience knows, I love milestones. But the end of this year, again, we end on July 4th of every year with this campaign and stuff, and so this year is going to end with quite the celebration. I'm getting married on July 4th. I mean,
Yeah, it's huge.
as only is appropriate, right? For the guy who's got a U.S. presidential trivia segment as part of his show.
Right.
July 4th is going to be our wedding day. Frankie and I will be married, and yes, I will be having my firecracker or United Cigar of my choice, and celebrating July 4th and our nation's independence, and concluding a great campaign for the of our 20 Days of United Cigars, man. I'm pumped about this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, for while just to touch on that and expand on it, as you mentioned, the 250th anniversary, we have the Independence
Mhm.
firecracker coming out, right? The 200 celebrating the 250th birthday, right, of America. So we have this beautiful collector's tin. This piece just pops off. But what I love is that you got home of the brave
Mhm.
on one side. Other side, Land of the Free, which is upside down because when you turn this over, then you can read Land of the Free. But that's because underneath this is the ashtray,
Oh my
right? So
gosh.
this little collectible tin, you'll be able to have repurpose the tin and have a little ashtray inside, and it holds. It's a real easy tin. Comes with a little description on the inside, and 12 firecrackers, Independence firecrackers inside. That so really approachable in pricing. It's got the classic firecracker fuse. I love the embossed stars. Really industrial
Mhm.
look to it. But no, we're excited to celebrate the 4th of July, our 250th birthday with this tin, collectible ashtray right here.
I wanted to ask you that.
Focus.
I know this is you. I already asked you to answer a question for Nelson Alfonso earlier, and this might be a more appropriate question for Dave. But you've been part of United for a long time, and you knew,
Yeah.
I know I know you humor me a lot with history, but I know you like your history just as much as I do. How far back were you thinking, like we're gonna do something fun for 250? Like this is it's gonna happen. Don't know what it's gonna be yet, but like how far back were you thinking, God, when we get to 250, we're gonna do something fun. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, well, I think we thought about it so far back that we did almost again I said almost that we did forget about the United Cigars 125th anniversary.
Oh, that's
That
right.
we did
Yeah.
right. We didn't do
Yeah.
anything of that
I just did
because
the
we're
math.
thinking fire right. As we're thinking like it's firecracker and how great is this going to be, and we're celebrating we're celebrating 20 years of firecracker as well next year, so we have all these things kind of laid out and ready. And then partnering with Arnold Andre a few years ago, we started distributing their product,
Hmm.
their lines, Montosa and Terra Nova. Well, they have a line in Europe called Independence that comes in these, beautiful tubes, and it's in overseas outside of the U.S. It's more of a machine made product, but we love the name. They wanted to, think about bringing it to the U.S., and so we've been kind of waiting and having it sitting in the wings, for a number of years, and we're like, Independence Firecracker. It's going to be perfect. It's the 250th anniversary. You own the name Independence. It's your line, and we'd love to do something together. So it's been a work in progress. The tin was something that I had I designed and came up with the concept a little while back for another line that we were working on, and I just felt like it fit for this because we could use it. There's a minimum order quantity as well for tins, and this was pretty high. So we ended up working with them on this, and it just kind of fits. So it's been a number of years, and we've been chomping at the bit, just waiting for it. So we're excited to release it this year.
Awesome. Only way more that would have been perfect is if we'd, managed to get United Cigars invited to an inauguration, but it didn't. Presidential cycle didn't fall appropriately,
It
unfortunately.
might look
So
UFC. I think the White House is opening up to other ideas. So who knows?
yeah, well, that'll be great. I wanted to take this moment because I think we haven't mentioned this because this happened between the last time you were on the show too, and I know everybody in the world now has been led into the world's best secret about our great gas station chain down here in Texas, Bucky's. And
Bucky's,
I was in the local Bucky's, and I look up and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh shit!" And I took a picture of it and I sent it to you, and it was a picture. It was a United cigar, a vintage United cigar sign. Um, and just I mean, when I say vintage, it's old and it's massive.
yeah,
And I mean, it took up. Gosh, that sign was at least 12, if not 15 feet long,
yeah.
and about 4 feet high. And it was really cool to see that in a Bucky's of all places. And um, I asked
But it's so
around to
Americana.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so cool to see that. I was like, I know that, and I remember like seeking out a manager who could care less about like that's on it, but I was so excited about it. I was talking to him, and I was like, "Is it for sale?" Because I was like, I was gonna ask
cool.
for you,
Right,
and I was texting you at the same time as I sent you the picture, and you're like, "No, man, it's better there. Just leave it there." And I'm like, "But I
right,
want it though." Like, I
right.
wanted to see how much they'd
how
sell it
how
for.
beautiful is that? Like United Cigars, again, going back to 1901, when you start looking at, even if you Google, eBay, there's United Cigar memorabilia everywhere. Like they were the biggest promoters of the, and it wasn't even a cigar brand. It was the company. They had 3,000 retail locations across the country. They partnered with Whalen Drugs, and um, it was massive. It was everywhere. So you see all these things. They even had a catalog that with certain points that you could build. Um, you could purchase either branded United items. Like they had little teaspoons with the United logo on it. They had match holders with United logos on it. They had everything was just branded United everywhere. So to see some of this memorabilia still hanging on walls, and even Kurt at 721 at
Yeah, I was
Twins.
about to mention Kurt. Yeah.
He's got a big old United cigar tin sign hanging on the wall. It's great, and there's another spot in PA. OK Cigars. They have an old tin sign on there, so it's out there. It's gorgeous, and I'd love to see us. As we evolve and grow, maybe do a little bit more of that to bring some of it back.
Bring some of that history back. That'd be cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome. God, man, it was so cool. And I've been obviously a couple times since I took those photos and sent them over to you, and I look up every time, and and I'm obviously other than my relationship with you, I'm like not associated with the brand, but it's still just I still beam with pride every time I see it because it's so cool to kind of see that
yeah.
they're just hanging out and being a part of. being a part of this giant,
Being
giant
part of
awesome
the
thing.
cigar industry and to see some
Hmm.
old, cigar memorabilia hanging on a wall
Hmm.
in a place that doesn't sell cigars. They sell everything else, but
Yeah, right.
um,
Exactly.
yeah, So it's kind of cool to see it up there.
For sure. Well, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and break again for the second segment of presidential trivia today. Um, really excited to talk about this. We were talking about the lavish parties of George W. Bush. So this one's a true or false question. James Buchanan was known for his lavish tastes as well. Is it true or false that he um, paid for Charles Gaultier, the notable French chocolatier, to come
Hmm.
over via steamship to prepare the desserts and pastries for his inaugural ball? True or false?
I'm not even going to pretend. I have no idea, but because you were so detailed with the steamship, I'm going to say it's true.
Absolutely true. It's
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely true.
true.
Got it. All
It's
right, good, good.
absolutely true,
Love
man.
it.
Yeah, it's
Got to read the audience.
this is crazy. So, I mean, I didn't do the math. This has to probably be close to, I mean, what was actually done at his inaugural ball in 1857. Um, this number can't be right because it just seems really extraordinarily low. But it was $60,000, and I'm trying
Oof.
to like what that would be
Back
today.
then, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. $60,000. Um, but 5,000 guests devoured 400. I don't know why they use this measurement. 400 gallons of oysters, 500 quarts of
That
chicken.
sounds
Yeah,
that sounds disgusting.
yeah.
Gallons of oysters. All
Gallons.
right.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't know
Right.
why they use this unit of measurement, but here we
Oh,
go. We're
no.
doing it. 400 gallons of oysters, 500 quarts of chicken salad, 500 quarts
Okay.
of different jellies, a complete dessert course provided by Charles Gaultier, 1,200 quarts of ice cream. Didn't know ice cream existed in 1857. There was something
Wow.
that was kind of new for me. Assorted flavors, of course. Here you go. Here's the eight rounds of beef. Don't know this measurement. Don't understand it, but eight
Rounds of
rounds
beef.
of
Yeah.
beef, 75 whole hogs.
So that's
75.
going back to Grant. Right.
Yeah, so
That's
pig
why I was
pig
thinking that
roast.
tonnage. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, pig roasts, right? So like we think that
Okay.
like that's a big thing in the cigar industry, it's like, hey, having one pig, and it's a big thing, like it's one pig, right? And it feeds like
Right.
usually a whole party of people, and it's a whole tada. 75 of them.
Wow.
Uh s- Again, these units of measurement are just hilarious. 60, I don't even know what the fuck this is. 60 saddles of mutton. I don't know what a saddle is, but 60 of them.
Saddle.
And only four saddles of venison were consumed at this. The units of measurement are the most comical thing about this whole listing, particularly the gallons of oysters. Like you said, I love oysters,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that grosses me out. Like I don't know, like a gallon of like
Right. Because
yeah,
that means they were shucked and then put into
like
a bucket,
a bucket,
and those
yeah, a
are gallons.
gallon
Right.
sized
Right.
bucket. Like just like, oh no.
I feel I'm looking down. I see. I don't know if he's still on, but I see some people in here. But I see Rafael Nodal was in the watching. But I feel like with his travel, how he eats, he would almost know what a saddle of what was
Of
it, lamb? What was it?
mutton or
Mutton.
venison
Yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah. He would know what a saddle
A
of mutton
saddle
would
is
be.
exactly. He has
Right.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
He would know
So
that measurement.
hashtag let us know.
Right.
Inquiring minds want to know what a saddle of mutton is.
Those are some parties, man.
No kidding. Yeah, and then paid all expenses paid trip for, renowned French
Right.
chocolate. I mean, like, listen, this isn't
Gautier.
like, yeah, this isn't 2026 where you just like pay for someone to get on, United
Right.
or
And you said
Emirates, like,
$66,000 too, right?
yeah, it was just, yeah, which
That's
just seems, I mean, it seems like low when you read that listing, 5,000 people, that
right.
that amount of food, which still doesn't trump Barack
Bush
Obama's. Yeah.
or Obama. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and also the money doesn't translate. I haven't done the translation money, but I mean, I looked it up on several sources, and George
It,
W. holds the record at 42 million,
yeah, that's
even with
crazy.
like even adjusting for today's like dollar, right?
Dollar.
That
Yeah.
was the key thing. Because I had heard about Buchanan's party, and I was like, oh, surely like maybe his is like up there, blah blah blah, and it was 60,000 in modern day, but it still doesn't apparently come even close to 42 million, which in today's money, but it was just yeah, the gallons of
It's a
oysters. There we
lot.
go. There we go.
Gallons of oysters.
Yeah.
Delicious.
You learn some good stuff here on Ellis Fumar takes about presidential trivia. So
Yeah.
uh well, that'll take us. Speaking of that, let's talk about something a little bit more appetizing. We'll go into our next segment, which is brought to you by Pastani Cigars. Everybody eats. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastani Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. And with Pastania, everybody eats. So, we talked about how July 4th will be my wedding, as well as the 250th anniversary of our country and everything. And I know we've been talking about inauguration balls and meals of the like. And I know you haven't necessarily probably been to an inauguration, but you have been to weddings. So I wanted to
Yes.
ask you, Oliver, what's the best wedding meal that you've ever eaten?
Mm. Best wedding meal I've ever eaten.
Hmm.
Boy, that's a great question. Drawing a little bit of a blank, but there was I guess for the fanciest, but I don't know if I want to go fanciest. There was
Hmm.
one that was there was one that was just over the top fancy, and there were gallons of oysters, but there was there was
For
there
it's
was like a
forever
raw
going to
bar.
be a
And
joke between us. Is going to be
right,
400 gallons
right,
of
right.
oysters.
But there was a like a raw bar, and there was lobster and everything. But I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded because I'm on the East Coast, and like for me, lobster is I don't know if it, and it's not being pretentious either because you have to understand here lobster you can get a boiled lobster just pick it up and at some point and they were chicks like smaller ones but you could pick it up cooked ready to go for sometimes they were like $6 done like so I've had so much lobster in my day that I'm just kind of indifferent about it which sounds totally pretentious um but best meal um I don't know if I have one because they've all kind of been that I don't want to say standards but all kind of been you have your choice of chicken fish or filet
Yeah.
actually Dominic so I'll say I was at a Dominican wedding and there was I take that back Puerto Rico which was just this past January and we were up in the mountains and they had this roasted pork um that was just done there and everything like there's sometimes you get a pork that's been in the cajachinas the just done right and everything's crispy this thing was so but sometimes it's not well seasoned or it's not the skin's not perfect this thing was so well seasoned and the outside skin was like candy that that now we talk about that's the best that's
That's
been
it.
the best meal
Yeah.
yeah and that was the most recent one I went to and that was a beautiful wedding like I said up in the mountains that just bunch of friends and it turned into just a great celebration together.
Mine was a friend of mine from college. His family. He's Mexican, and the wedding was down in Brownsville. For those people who know Texas geography, Brownsville, you throw a rock, you hit Mexico. It's like right there. And in what people would call like the valley, and and first of all, this wedding was massive. It's probably, and I've been to a ton of weddings. It's part of my lore. How many weddings I've actually attended, and how many times I've been member of the bridal party and stuff like that. And this thing was absolutely massive, just massive. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure there was north of 600 people at this thing. I
Whoa.
mean, it was a fucking town, Oliver. It was insane. Um, and when I say there was every type of Mexican cuisine a part of this wedding, there was every type of Mexican cuisine.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from there was everything from tamales to tacos, of course. And I mean, just name it. Just go down the line and nope, sorry, there was no Tex Mex, there was no quesadillas. I apologize for all the white
Right.
people out there, but just run,
Mole.
yeah, exact the mole, like everything,
Oh,
like chili
yeah.
colorado, like all this fucking great shit. And it was just unbelievable. And I was like, I'm not getting out of here alive.
Right.
Between the
You're
600
gonna
people
you're gonna have to roll me out.
and yeah, and the food, and it was just so good. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like everything you're like, well, I made like fuck, it's so good. It was so good. Um,
Don't you
and
feel
it
bad for people that just haven't had like really good food?
really,
Like
yeah,
some like just seasoned properly, cooked properly, presented properly. Because like I said, I've had the fancy, dinners and maybe that wedding, if you're just looking for, fancy and opulence and just beautiful. That doesn't necessarily compare to just perfectly cooked food,
yeah,
seasoned everything. And that just melts in your mouth or just like hits like a good cigar when it just hits every part of your palate and just all the way through, you almost melt into your chair. And I feel bad for some. They're like, oh, I can't eat that, or I don't want to try that, or I don't want to eat that, or I've had tacos before. They're just I'm like, no, well,
and
where
no, you
where
haven't.
where have you had tacos? Like, it's just not the same,
Yeah, we're not the same. You have you have and listen, hey, there's nothing wrong with hard shell taco night. I get it. You know what? It's
right?
it's
Yeah,
it's a food. It's your thing. That's cool. Rock,
yeah,
you do you, boo boo. But like
right,
that's like you haven't had taco. We're not the same. We're not the
right,
same, and that's
right.
okay. That's okay. We don't have to be the same.
Yeah,
There's if we were all, peanut butter and peanut butter sandwiches, we would be delicious, but we wouldn't be as good as peanut butter and jelly. I'm just saying. Fine. Um, but yeah, that was oh my gosh. I still dream about the lamb barbacoa from that wedding because
mm.
it was so
Yeah. And
unbelievably
see,
good.
even trying to find lamb or real birria tacos, it's just not because
Hmm.
if you put lamb on a menu, some people will just shy away. They're not even going to try it.
Yeah, and that's just a
But
shame. It's
yeah,
an absolute shame. Um, God, it was so good. It was unbelievable. Yeah. I wonder how many saddles of mutton they used for that barbacoa. And there were no gallons of oysters at this thing either. So,
no. Yeah,
but but yeah, it
saddles of
was like
mutton. Yeah,
there were easily 600 plus people at this thing. I mean, it was just massive, Oliver. It was unbelievable. Like I can't even imagine how many people pitched in because it was not catered.
right.
Like this was like all
Oh,
this was all families
the
coming
family
together,
bring. Oh
like
yeah. So you got
like
all the
holy
different flavor. Yeah,
crap. Like they were cooking
yeah,
for days and there several and it was a point made at the wedding that it was several families that came together to
yeah.
make the food and stuff
No,
like
and
that.
when it's like that and it's families, like I don't know, there's something different when a barbecue here, um, and people are bringing different things. Like sometimes I'm a little leery of like this family, the way they cook or the way they might do something or their hygiene. But for some reason, um, like the Mexican families, they can be elbow deep into whatever dish they're making, and I'm not even worried about the sanitary health, whatever, because I just know it's going to be good because
It
there's so
doesn't
much
matter.
love going into that. Yeah, I mean, they got their like every limb into the dish making it, and I'm like, that's going to be good.
Yeah.
That's what I want
It was
because it's the
fantastic.
it's the passion behind it.
It was the it, I grew up eating tamales, of course, but and there was what's one tamale as a child growing up I could never get behind. It was the candied tamales that they used, and you could get raisins and sweet tamales.
I'm
Never,
with you,
I just
100%.
I couldn't do it. This family did, and the only place I've tasted it similar is something similar is the tamales from Riata here in Fort Worth. Um, but it was way sweeter, and it was the dessert tamale. It was candied. They did candied pecans, that were in the masa, and there were some other things going on with it. And to this day, I couldn't probably deconstruct it, but I was like, okay, so a sweet tamale can exist and actually be delicious. It was absolutely fantastic. Um, the pecan, they're completely different dishes, but the tamales from Riata have pecans in them, so it's like it's part of the dish. So it reminds me of it, triggers that memory for me.
Right.
But um, yeah, but it was unbelievable. It was fantastic. It was great. Before we wrap up tonight's evening with a few more fun segments, Oliver, there was I know that you recently had a conversation with Dave Garofalo on his show about the whole. I know we've gone through this topic several times, but I kind of just wanted to touch on it because I wanted to bring it to my audience too. The because while it's evolved into this crazy thing with La Flor Dominicana and Tatuai we've talked about, but United was the first NFT
Oh
cigar.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
what was that? I don't think I've ever asked you this question. I know you guys
yeah.
probably spoke at length, and I'm not asking you to condense a 3 hour, an hour podcast into a couple minutes, but what was that conversation like with Dave Garofalo when you were explaining it? I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What was that
No,
conversation like?
it was funny. Well, it was almost like talking to a wall at first because there wasn't any understanding. But I was listening to Fox. It was Fox News. It was just on. They were talking about NFTs, and I think as you mentioned on the show, but it just all matched up perfectly with the way everybody was talking because Nelson had brought up to us prior, just a little bit, shortly before the Atabey Black Ritos that he had this project and something he was working on, and would it make sense to the audience to have an Atabey with a dark wrapper because everybody knows Atabey with this light wrapper, and we're like, yeah, I mean that's a normal progression, right,
Sure, yeah.
of any line, right? If I have a Connecticut, I'm going to do a Maduro, we're going to do a sun grown. So he said he had whatever, he was going to have 300 boxes, one size. And we said, well, what are we going to do, with 300 boxes? Like it's you can't do anything with that, you can't really market it. And so we're like, all right, well, we'll think about it, what we can do, and let's talk later, because it was aging, but I think at the time it was like 2 years of age, so we still had a few years. But so then fast forward, and I don't remember if it was like 24 hours later or a couple weeks later, but that's when I heard about the NFT, and one NFT had gone for, I don't know, whatever, how many millions, and starting to learn about the non-fungible token, that somebody was buying a digital image, but it was on the blockchain, so it was protected, and it was kind of this digital asset that they would own. And I looked at the certain companies were getting into it, but nobody had done anything with cigars yet. Because I researched, I'm like, cigar NFT, and couldn't find anything. So then I came in and I talked to Dave about it, and then there was a lot of pushback. And I said, well, let's just call Nelson. He's if there's somebody that's going to put together a graphic, a digital image, some sort of art, it's going to be Nelson in the industry. That's who I'm going to go to. Unfortunately, he's with us. So then it turned into a conversation with Nelson, and that's where he said it's like unbelievable. He's like, I was just talking to my son about this, and they were arguing because at the time too, the whole Bitcoin, more Bitcoin than anything, because the NFTs were dealt with. You put it on OpenSea, and then the exchange was with Ethereum. So it wasn't Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was kind of used in the black market because you couldn't really track where it was being sent to or who was receiving what for what. So he didn't want to do it, Nelson Senior, but Nelson Junior was like, no, this is the future. This is Bitcoin and this and that. We have to do something. So it just kind of, all the madness just kind of worked out at the same time. So that's where he put the graphic together, the 3D rendering, and we said we can put it up and put it on market. But we didn't have the same approach, and maybe it wasn't the same foresight what we could do, but it wasn't. And again, nothing wrong with what others did, but we didn't see it as, hey, let's put the first cigar NFT on the market and sell it for $400,000. We just said it's more of a conceptual idea of, will people accept it? Will they be excited by it? And boy, nobody was excited about it. Like we said, we put the press release out, and the feedback was, well, what's the cigar world coming to? They're putting out an image, you can't even smoke it. It doesn't make any sense. And they're not even coming out with a cigar. We couldn't really say, hey, we're coming out with a cigar, because we didn't, usually with Nelson, he's always worried about the cigar. What's it going to be, when it comes out? I know it's going to be good. It's who he is. But even with like the Alfonso Grand Selection, I smoked it with him, and I go, Nelson, this is incredible. Because you think it, like, Nelson, it's beautiful. Like, what did you do different? How did you make it like? He's like, you think people will like it? I'm like, Nelson, it's unbelievable. So anyway, he didn't know what the Atabey Black Ritos would be, and so we just put it all together, and we put the NFT out, but we put them out as singles. So we put 25 singles out on the market, and you could buy one. But again, we didn't attach it to say that, okay, well, if you buy this, you're going to have this. But we said in the background, okay, well, look, if they buy the NFT, they're buying it for the retail value. And really, when we put it out, we didn't advertise it as heavily to sell it, but I started to call, our retail partners and say, hey, listen, this is something that we plan to come out with. It's not going to be for another 2 or 3 years at the time. But it's going to be the Atabey Black. They're only going to be 300 boxes. We're only going to allow it to our lounges that we had at the time, and the NFT holders. So it turned out to be 10 retailers, and the 300 boxes were kind of divvied up. Our lounges, branded lounges and partners, got the lion's share, and then the NFT holders, got another portion. But we just put it out there as an idea at first, just to gain get a response. But yeah, it wasn't met well at first, and then I'll give credit to, because then I think Carney had called it. He said, "Man, I can't believe you guys did this. We've been working on something. We were thinking about it. We didn't announce it, and then they did a whole different route, which worked out for them, and it is what it is today. But yeah, even when ours came to market, outside of the NFT, we priced it. I think, fairly for what it is for a cigar that's aged that long, and yeah, it's worked out, and still in very limited quantities. But now we'll have the Atabey Black Delirios, which actually is going to be shipping out next week to retailers. We haven't fully announced that yet, but yeah, that'll be shipping out, and that's the one that comes in the 10 count travel humidor.
Beautiful. Those are beautiful. That's fantastic.
No, we're excited for that.
I think, it's, I don't, like you said, it wasn't as successful as you may have liked, or even as some of the people who followed you. But I think that's sometimes the plight of being a pioneer, right? And some, there's not always a consolation prize in life. I get that, but like, it's still pretty cool to hang your hat on that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, hey, yeah, we were the first. Yeah, and then it evolved into this much bigger thing for other folks. Yeah, sure, but I don't know. There's still something kind of cool about it. It didn't end up successful in the dollars and cents department, I'm sure, but like, or renowned side of it. But like, man, it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, and
I still don't quite get it, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I could say that it didn't work out the same. Maybe it wasn't the big financial win at the beginning, but in long term, I think we'll I don't want to say come out ahead, right? I don't want to put it like that, but I think it made the line extension to Atabey Black hold its integrity, show that it's not about just being this like a star-studded show, like, oh, we have this buy the tickets and they're overpriced, and it's just kind of a short-term thing. Like, with Nelson and with us, with a lot of things that we do, we're planning for everything that we do to be, just sustainable, and to be a long-term project, so that we see these brands in another 10 years. It's still there, and it's still going, and it's growing. That's what we want. It wasn't a plan to make any money quick. It wasn't, limited editions that we do as well, or limited productions, or anything. Those might be a one-time thing, but that's based off of the availability of either, tobaccos, or processes, and that's it. But this was something that we wanted to be an extension. So it was going to be a long term plan always.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's again, Oliver, I can't thank you enough for hopping on the show tonight. It's been a great conversation as always, of course. And
Yeah, I
we got
love
a
it.
couple more questions to wrap up our evening with some of our fun segments, as we like to call them. And this next segment is brought to you by Artista Cigars. I love having you on the show because I think if there's really a comparable portfolio, it's like you guys and Artista. It's like one of the most hidden, like, right, one of the most varied portfolios in the market and stuff. And it's so interesting because um but that's, if I may, there is that missing piece. They don't have the selected tobacco piece, right? So I think that's
Right. Yeah.
where United Cigars is a little bit more unique and everything. But with nearly 70 years of rolling cigars experience, the family behind Artista believes in honoring their long-held traditions of handmade artistry. Artista's blends include factory exclusive tobaccos and front marks for every budget. In fact, Artista, we were just talking about, is one of the most varied portfolios in the market today. There's something for everyone at Artista. There's something for everyone at United as well. Now, if you're like me and you can never decide, Artista has is kind of a breath of fresh air, just like United, because I know pop open a box of anything and I'm going to get something truly special. So, this is the Artista Cigars This or That segment. So we kind of go back and forth with just kind of quick rapid fire questions of everything. So I kind of broke this up into sections. Um, I wanted
Can I
to,
add one
yeah, go ahead.
thing for Ram, because Ram is such a great dude. And if the next time he's on the show, because you mentioned something earlier, and I was going to talk about it. You said deconstructed. I drive him. I drove him crazy one time. We were in the Dominican. We were we were just having, having some drinks, cigars, and food, and we ordered some. There's this. It's a bicycle shop, but they have like this, bar area. They have imported beers, and they make an incredible, like, chicharron. And so they brought out this plate of chicharron with some tostones, and I think they might have had like pickled onions, or something. But I said, this is basically it's a deconstructed mofongo. And he like lost his shit. He's like, what are you talking about? This is not, mofongo's completely different. Mofongo's, I'm like, well, no, because mofongo is, you have the plantains that are smashed, and then you have the chicharron that's all mixed in. It's a deconstructed mofongo. And so he just loses his shit every time. So next time you see him, ask him about deconstructed mofongo. But
Yeah,
he does some great things. We did the Big Poppy firecracker together, and
yeah,
he does some great stuff, and he's incredibly humble. And he's another one that's just kind of, he not that he hides behind the curtain, but he's more about the cigar, and he puts out some great stuff.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely, though. We had a great conversation about how much he hates mac and cheese, recently. So
Yeah,
and it sounds like he
really
was getting at that level. Yeah, because I mean, he was very passionate about this, about
hates mac and cheese.
how terrible mac and cheese is. He's
Oh
like,
my
I
god.
don't understand you Americans. He's like, you guys have great food, and then like mac and cheese, it's terrible. And
Oh
he was
my
like
god.
really passionate about it. So I imagine it was probably along the same experience you had.
Yeah.
So, but
I'll have to bring him to Mr. Mac and Cheese here when he ever comes up here.
I kind of broke this down into sections, kind of based on some of the things we talked about tonight. So I'll go using going into our selected tobacco discussion. And the question's open to interpretation. You can look at it through a cigar lens. You can look at it through your own personal Oliver Nivaud lens, however you want to look through it, right? So, Spain or Costa Rica?
Sorry, I lose you?
Spain or Costa Rica?
So what's the first part? Do I just
Yeah, like You can look at it through
Where?
how whatever lens you want to, like, but which do you prefer, Spain or Costa Rica?
Oh, I'd have to say Spain because I haven't been to Costa Rica.
Okay, okay.
So
All right,
Spain. Yeah.
all right. Small batches or annual productions?
Annual productions.
Um, the uh the aging room or the factory floor?
A true aging room.
Awesome. So going into these are going to be a little bit harder, I think. The United Cigars section here. Firecracker or United?
Oh, United. United.
Okay.
Only because there's a longer format, right?
Gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. Um, um, La Gianna Havana or Red Anchor?
Red Anchor.
And now going to the United Cigar specifically, I think we've asked this before, but I think we talked about the original natural versus the Maduro, but we'll go with the United Connecticut versus the United Maduro.
Oh, there.
I know I'm asking you to pick one of
Um,
your favorite kids, man. This is hard, I know, but
uh, I'd have to say the Connecticut,
it's
and that
so
might go
good.
against the grain. Yeah, yeah, because I think like the Connecticut, I could smoke almost any point of the day, and you know the Maduro you could too, but you know that's going to be a little more grit, right?
Yeah.
A little more kick to it. So yeah, Connecticut.
Nice. All right. So this is the celebration edition. Uh, would you rather smoke a cigar at a wedding reception or just any other party?
Uh, I'll say wedding reception because if I'm smoking there, that means that the bride and groom accept it. So they're probably smoking with me. So that's a beautiful celebration.
Champagne or bourbon to celebrate?
Oh, this is going to just destroy me because I'm a tequila guy, so I'm not a bourbon guy, but I'm not really a champagne. But I'll say champagne only because of my French heritage, and only true champagne comes from Champagne, France. So
Yes, it
champagne.
is. Absolutely. 100%. How do you, what are your, oh, we've never had this conversation and we could definitely hold it for the next time you're on. What are your feelings on cognac, which is also a French product that is
Yeah,
only from
yeah,
France?
yeah, from cognac. Yeah, from cognac, France. You know, there are some very good cognacs. And if you're
Hmm.
talking about pairing with a cigar, there I think there are some that have a little more heat, but I think people like that. But there are some beautiful cognacs. I love cognac.
Awesome. Uh, I love cognac. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely one of my favorite things in this world.
It's not talked about as much.
No, it isn't. It's funny. I've got the Remy Martin
Yeah,
1738
Remy
here.
Martin. Mm,
That is the cognac that I've had the birth of all three of my biological children.
beautiful.
And yeah, it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite. And it's not outrageously priced, and I still think it's good. I've had really expensive cognac, and I still love Remy Martin 1738. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. This is an interesting question. Because especially I've asked a variation of this to a lot of people, and it usually goes one way. I'm interested to hear your thoughts because we smoke a lot and we smoke different types and different sizes and stuff like that. If you this is just in one day, if you could choose between one great cigar or three very good cigars. You could smoke three very good cigars or one
Yeah.
great cigar. What are you going to do that day?
One great cigar.
You're going to do one great cigar? Okay.
One great cigar. almost like as if I'm going to the electric chair and I get one last meal. I
Yeah,
want one great cigar.
there you go. Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, that was our Artista This or That segment brought to you by Artista Cigars. Um, and we're going to move on to our next segment, which is brought to you by Asylum. So, Asylum is more than just a state of, excuse me, refuge is more than just a physical place. It can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for an Asylum Cigars. Light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So I want to go back to the concept of the party, and it goes back to this or that segment, and then we've talked about parties and stuff in general. Has there been, it could be a wedding, it could be any other party. Like, has there been a cigar that you've had at a party, not a cigar event, but at a party, reception, cotillion, whatever you want to throw, whatever thing, non-cigar event that you've really enjoyed and it was a really good moment?
Yeah, and I know it was impactful because I do talk about it. It's the or I brought it up before. The it was it was an Oyo de Monterey Cuban double Corona. We were at a place in Vegas
Hmm.
that was close to my house, but there was a three-piece jazz band. It was like this really cool spot, but kind of the lighting was perfect. Music was great. It was just a spot we went to a lot, and you could smoke cigars there. It wasn't like a cigar bar, but you could smoke cigars there.
Hmm.
And I had two of these double Coronas in my humidor, and this is going back to yeah 98, yeah, maybe 98, 99, like right there, because I had just moved to Vegas, and I know it was right after. Um, and I had these two Cuban Oyo de Monterey's double Coronas. I smoked one there, and I forgot about everything that was around me. I was just so into the cigar as opposed to and the moment, but as opposed to my surroundings, right? Because sometimes a cigar can be fantastic because of your surroundings. That I ended up leaving. I went to grab another one and then came back because these are two. It's not like I had 100 of them. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to smoke it every day. I'll smoke two at once. I'm going to smoke them back to back. These were cigars that I was holding for special moments. But it was so good that I went back. I grabbed another one to go back to the Bixes and smoke another one, and it was unbelievable. It was so
That's
good.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think you've told that story before. It sounds really familiar.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
That's the one that just kind of sticks, and I hate bringing it up again, but that's the one that just kind of
it,
sticks. Is like such a moment that I loved.
well, like I ask a variation of this question every week, and I have repeat guests all the time, so it's interesting. I think this might be the first time we've kind of revisited a moment though, but it just goes. I fucking love that description though, because like you said, there's sometimes the moment the cigar is great because it's created by the moment, and this was the opposite, and that's that's so rare to where the cigar like it transforms your
You
surroundings. It
you forget,
transforms, yeah,
yeah,
forget everything.
yeah. You forget about everything around you, and like I said, there was a three-piece jazz band. The the bar was, and it wasn't like this wasn't like a bar where people go, oh, give me a shot of this or that. This was, and it wasn't overly sophisticated where people couldn't be drinking. Like everybody was there having a great time, and there was energy, and there was I was with great people, and it was just that cigar just kind of took me away from everything.
It's awesome. Fantastic. Alrighty. Well, the time has come. We are here for our last question of the evening, Oliver. So, um, which is always brought to you by our friends at Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. It is our curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's inception. Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park. It's been 11 years, 11 consecutive years in the
Wow.
consensus top three. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. So, um, this is this is kind of a spin, and I know I've asked you this before. Like where, who would you smoke with a cigar in history and everything. But I'm actually
Mhm.
going to give you three very famous cigar smokers and a pivotal moment of history. And I want to know, one's a little loose, but we're gonna roll with it. Um, I want to know which one you would pick. Would you rather smoke with Ulysses S. Grant after Appomattox, the surrender of the
Uh,
South? Smoke a cigar with Winston Churchill at the conclusion on VE Day, the conclusion of World War II. VE being victory in Europe. Or
right. Yeah.
would you rather smoke with Ernest Hemingway down in Havana?
Ooh. Yeah, I think the quick answer is Hemingway and Havana because the stories, he just seemed like one, he's got a ton of stories.
Sure.
And he would just be amazing to sit with, and from what I understand too, tie one on with.
Right.
Because he liked the cocktails. Yeah, I would say yeah, Hemingway for
See,
sure.
the snap answer for me is I was kind of writing because I was thinking about, like I said, I was thinking about famous cigar smokers and their and moments in history. And like I said, Hemingway's a little loose because it's not a moment. It's
Right.
just him. He's historical. Um, and I was like, the snap answer for me was like Grant. And I thought about this and I thought about it exactly the way that you said. I was like, that would have been pretty cool, like to be at Appomattox, but the stories between Hemingway and Churchill and the libations combined with it, like holy cow, like that would have been the
Yeah.
just unbelievable moment and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like Grant was really just smoking. Like I don't know if I would have smoked the same thing he smoked. Like I don't know if I would
yeah,
have enjoyed it. I feel like it would have been pretty raw. I think
yeah,
Churchill would have had access to better cigars and to
yes,
celebrate that moment, but it's his moment, right?
that's fair. Yeah,
So,
okay,
right. So I would love to be there, but it's more of saying, well, I was there, but were you really
sure,
there? Like, does he even know you're there? Because he's celebrating that moment. And I feel like with Hemingway, he would know you're there in a way, and then he would turn to you and say, hey, let's leave this place. I got a place around the corner that's pretty cool. And you would just almost like bar hop with him. And then
yeah,
he would just tell you all of his stories, right?
yeah,
So I think time would be well spent with Hemingway.
that's cool. Cool. Not the answer I thought. I love it though. And not the answer I thought you'd give though. That's really that's. But I'm with you the whole way through the whole explanation, the whole train of thought. That's really great. Awesome. Well, Oliver, again, I can't thank you enough for hopping on, being a part of this, what's become this annual tradition of 20 Days of United Cigars. We're going to do it again this year. We're kicking things off with hashtag United Flag Day on June 14th, Flag Day. And we'll announce things across the coalition. We're going to be giving away a flag, of course, and just smoking some fantastic
And some other,
cigars.
yeah, and we'll put some other things in there to really answer. It should just be the flag, right? That I'm getting a flag. How cool is this? This is what I'm getting. But there, we're gonna up the ante because we're sharing this across the coalition, and they're more involved, and it's a beautiful thing to celebrate. So, um, I love that one that you brought it to me to do, but that we've been doing it for 4 years, and I want to continue this and grow it into something special to bring some more awareness.
That's awesome. I'm pumped. I'm pumped, and then obviously at the end of 20 days will be July 4th and 2026 celebrating our 250th birthday for our beloved country and then also my wedding day. So,
Your wedding day,
uh
yeah, huge.
unbelievable. Um it's a dream come true for this little historical nerd who loves cigars over here on this side of the screen. So, it's awesome. But Oliver, thanks again. Thank you so much for your friendship, your kindness, and everything over the years. And I love having you on, and I love sharing. I love sharing our moments about our kids and sharing cigars
Yeah,
and everything that's been all the success that United and Selected Tobacco. I know you have a great team working with some great people like Dave and Nelson, of course, and um, but um, man, what a ride this has continued to be. And I know you're in a lot of ways just getting started, and it's just You've done an incredible job. I know I tell you that
Yeah.
every time. This is
As you have too. You've done an incredible job. You're just you're not just starting out, but you're just starting out in the big big picture of things, and
yeah.
you've made a big impact, and I love being a part of it.
Awesome. Next week will be our 365th take, which means I will have had an
Wow.
episode for 360. If you wanted to go back into our archives, you could literally watch or listen to one of my shows every day for a year, and there would be one for every single day. So if you wanted to have fun with that, go for it. So if someone wants to take on that project, go
Take on
ahead.
that challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all for you. But thank you so much, and thanks to our audience as well, staying up late with us, having to join this great conversation along with you. Join us on June 14th, hashtag United Flag Day, and we're gonna smoke some great cigars over the 20 days after that, and celebrate the 250th birthday of our fantastic nation. I'm Bear Duplessis, if you are tuning in to us later live via podcast, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you download, subscribe, and review. And listen, do review, please. Leave constructive feedback. To the guy who left me a 1-star review and said my audio levels suck, hey man, thank you so much. Hopefully you're still listening. Hopefully you can hear me now. To the guy who left me a 1-star review and left it blank, as I tell you every week, fuck you, man. I got nothing for you. I can't fix it. Can't fix blank. All right.
No.
But appreciate all the 5-star reviews and everything as well. Our audio broadcast is always courtesy of our friends at Grant Bono Cigars, honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. If you're checking us out like you do almost every Sunday night live on Facebook, or checking us out on our YouTube channel later, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. Our video is courtesy of Foundation Cigars. Nick Melillo is a well-known cigar maker in the premium cigar industry. He's the founder and owner of Foundation Cigar Company, which produces a range of high-quality, handcrafted cigars. His values include quality, consistency, balance, and flavor. Check out foundationscigars.com today. Tonight's guest, of course, Oliver Nivaud, was brought to you by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united as well. I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Basil, Texas. He's Oliver Nivaud, and guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.
Have a good night.